Welcome to my channel. And today let's chat a little bit more about free will. So, this is the second part of a series about free will. So, I'd suggest that before watching this one, you watch the first part. So, this makes more sense to you after that one. Okay, but for this one, I was thinking about talking about a Neville quote. So, this is a quote from Neville Goddard, and it has to do with free will. And this will actually be on the screen right now, so you can look at it there. So it's probably easier to understand that way and to really grasp. When you know what you want, you don't ask God as though He were another. You ask your individual self to bring about your desire, for you are He. And God, your own wonderful human imagination, will respond when you will not take no for an answer, as your denial is spoken from within, and there is no other. It is within your own being that you persist in assuming you have received what you want. Okay, so about rejection, and this applies for everything related to other people, because what do we normally do? Well, we take other people for their word, or we interpret something that they did or didn't do as a rejection. They say something to us, and we're like, okay, he said that he doesn't want this relationship, and that means that there will be no relationship or whatever. So, in order to really consciously create your relationships and your life, you just can't take what other people say to be the ultimate truth, because they are just reflections of you, like we talked about in the first part of this series. So let's talk about this quote and dissect it. When you know what you want, you don't ask God as though He were another. You ask your individual self to bring about your desire, for you are He. So, what does Neville say here? He says that you are the God of your reality. There is no outside God. You ask yourself. You ask yourself to bring about your desire, meaning that you are the one who is deciding how things are. Neville goes on saying, God, meaning your own wonderful human imagination, will respond when you will not take no for an answer, as your denial is spoken from within and there is no other. So, what Neville means here is that you, and he talks about God as your own imagination, we can also translate it into you being the awareness, being the source of everything. You will respond as God. This means your 3D will respond when you will not take no for an answer, as your denial is spoken from within and there is no other. Because if someone says something that seems like a rejection, or mostly what we do is that they don't even have to say anything, we are just taking their actions or non actions as a rejection. So they are not doing this to us. We are doing this to us, because we are giving to these things that happen in 3D. Based on our interpretation of them, based on the label that we give them, and we have given them the label of rejection. So it's not the other person who is doing the rejecting, it's you. The denial is spoken from within, and there is no other, because you are also the source of these other people in your reality. They are your reflections. You love or reject yourself through them. So, there is no other will in your reality except yours. But as we talked about in the first part of this series, we can absolutely have the experience that there are other wills. And that's what we do, because we haven't been conditioned to know that everything actually comes from us, comes through us, and then gets reflected. So we have been programmed to think that other people have this power over us, that they can decide how they feel about us. They can decide how they think about us. But no, it always comes from within you. Because, as Neville said, there is no other. Meaning there is no other will than your will, because it's your world. You are all that is in your world. So you are, in essence, giving someone the role to be able to reject you. And also, when Neville talks about there is no other, it means that there are no others, because everyone in your reality is basically you. So, Neville goes on to say, it is within your own being, that you persist in assuming you have received what you want. So I think that many times when we think about this quote, we are thinking about, okay, I have to persist. I have to persist in assuming I have received what I want. But I think actually that the more important part of this quote is the beginning, that it is within your own being. So a little bit about persisting. Persisting in something doesn't mean that you have to focus on it, that you have to think about it the whole time. Persisting in something just means that, okay, this is how I, as a source of my reality, have decided that this thing is. And I'm just persisting in this knowledge that things are already like that. And this happens within me. It is within your own being. This means that no matter what the 3D seems to be showing us, we persist within our own being. We persist in being the identity who already has this thing that we want. But we are just humans. We are just so quick to judge. Like this means, this A means B. But no, it doesn't. It means B only if we let it mean B. So, no matter what someone says or does, it doesn't mean that it has been a rejection unless we call it. If we call it, okay, this is now a rejection. And that doesn't mean that in 3D we are going to, go to someone and say, but no, I say that you can't reject me. No, this has nothing to do with 3D actions. This happens within ourselves. So drop the label of being rejected, drop that identity. So rejection can only happen within us. Of course, some people say that, okay, if we don't reject ourselves, others don't reject us either. Yes, and that's true. If we don't give other people the label of someone that rejects us. But also, we are rejecting ourselves if we say that this other person rejected us. Remember that this is always about you. Like you are the one who is already in the most loving relationship, who is so loved, cherished, adored, and things like that. So if they say something that seems like a rejection, that's just not part of your reality, because in your reality, you are already in your desired relationship. Already in your desired relationship.